morning. Good morning.
This is a special called Holly and Tennessee Williams. This is going to be unbelievable. I'm not
I
kidding.
really like this one.
This is number 23.
No, it's not.
Life's Dream, number 23. Life's Dream, number 23. Not to be confused with Live Stream. Why not?
All right. That woke me up.
Yeah.
That woke me up too.
So this is a special day
That woke me up again.
because Holly's going to talk about Tennessee Williams. Not right this second because I'm going to do another piece. But, well, I'll introduce it in a little bit when I catch my breath. But I realized Tennessee Williams being this great playwright, and I was about to do a few cover tunes.
Oh no, I wasn't.
I just said, no, I can't do that. I have to play some songs that I wrote.
Not to mention licensing.
And I've done over 50 songs already in these streams. And I pretty much played all the songs that I wrote that I still know. So I had to sort of dig in and find out a song that I wrote.
With only one or two repeats that I might add, so they're all like 50 different songs, but probably more like 60.
Yeah. And it's not about the amount of songs I wrote.
No, but that's
It's about the amount of songs I could remember that I wrote. So here's one someone emailed me from Madison and said, "Oh, I love this song. I didn't even know I had this song. I knew it." So I'm going to play this for you. Sails couldn't get me to you quick enough. 25 maidens. Did you hear that? Let me sing that louder for you. 25 sails couldn't get me to you quick enough. 25 maidens, my mind off of you. And 25 times I've said it and I'll say it again. And 25 lifetimes I couldn't find a love like you. It's tailor-made, and it ooh laid so right. It's tailor-made, and it ooh fits so free, so fair, so fine. And then I dream about those deep blue eyes a-shining when you stay with me. Starts my whole day out, starts my whole day out a-smiling. And if you live with me, there ain't nothing I wouldn't do. 'Cause in 25 lifetimes I couldn't find a love like you. It's tailor-made, and it ooh lays so right. It's tailor-made, and it ooh fits so free, so fair, so right, fine. 25 sails couldn't get to you quick enough. There you go. Okay, now it's going to be story time. So,
Hello.
now it's Holly. So let me just say that this is a story that Holly has not told anybody.
Not ever.
In fact, not only hasn't she told me the story, I know little of it, there's about 90% that she's going to tell today that she's never explained to me.
When Kurt Vonnegut wrote the book Slapstick about he and his sister, he didn't know he was actually writing a biography about me and my older brother Gary. Growing up, we were two halves of one brain. Gary always said he got all the beauty and I got all the smarts. But clearly, that was a dyslexic point of view. Did I mention that I'm also dyslexic? We had our own invented language, so the parents never knew exactly what we were up to or what we were saying, and we were fiercely protective of one another. Around the Christmas holidays, my first husband, yes, there was someone before my own darling sweet Cork. Well, my first husband said,
Remember who's behind the camera here.
my first husband said he was going to the dry cleaners. That was the last time I ever saw him. Well, it was very devastating then, funny now. Of course, the first person I called in tears was my brother Gary, who lived in Key West. He was an actor, a director, and he was working on plays with Tennessee Williams to be staged in both Atlanta at the Alliance Theater as well as Chicago at the Goodman Theater, where he would also be directing these plays. Hello, darling. The next day, the phone rang. It was a gentleman with a slight southern, mid-Atlantic accent who said, "This is Tennessee. Your brother and I don't feel you should be sitting up there alone in cold Chicago, especially over the holidays. You're coming down here to Key West. It's all been arranged, my dear, and you'll stay with me, and I will put you upstairs in my sister Rose's suite." And that's my suite. He arranged for a driver to pick me up from the airport, who was holding a calligraphic work of art that spelled out Ms. Tucker.
With a southern accent.
After settling in and having a glass of white wine, I was told to dress for dinner and to be ready at 6. At 6:02, a voice called from the foot of the stairs, "Miss Tucker, it is 6:02. Please present yourself immediately." His favorite restaurant was the upscale Pier House, where we met my brother. Everyone was in dinner jackets. After we were shown to his special corner table, Tennessee inquired as to what I'd be having. Feeling terribly sad and sorry for myself, I burst into tears. "I'm not hungry." She'll have what her brother is having. When the entrees arrived, I just picked at it, moving things around on my plate, like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Tennessee, who was sitting next to me, reached over and cut up my steak in little pieces. Then he'd put a small piece on my fork and fed each bite to me. He said, "You know, there is practically no one in this room that is not having a crisis. See that couple over there?" And then, out of thin air, he whispered concocted tales about the couples at different tables with elaborate, hilarious details as to why each was unfaithful, conniving, and besmirched. Well, we were roaring with laughter, and before we knew it, we were ordering dessert. For many reasons, Tennessee was a deeply heartbroken and fragile person. He managed to get through his days with a strict schedule. He called at 3 a.m. the mean hour. If you could get past the mean hour, if you could get past 3 a.m., you'd be all right for another day. Well, I wasn't sleeping well, And in the wee hours from under my bedroom window, I could hear the clickety click click clack 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 clickety clack clack of a typewriter. And it was coming from the studio across from the pool. As soon as I heard a big kersplash into the pool, I knew Tennessee would be swimming several laps, and it would then be time for coffee and toast. I'd get ready quickly, scramble downstairs, and join him on time for breakfast. Leoncy was his housekeeper that he had employed for decades. He had bought her a home near enough to walk. She was nearly blind and couldn't cook or clean anymore, but she managed to make black Cuban coffee and burnt toast. And as part of the family, she sat at the table with us. She always gave me the hairy eyeball, and in my mind I would hear her say, "If you are not nice to Tennessee, I will take you out." Clearly, Tennessee adored her dearly. My particular favorite thing about his house was the garden gazebo, exhibiting the names of literary giants like Faulkner, who were personal friends and had visited and no doubt stayed in my room upstairs in Rose's suite. I was allowed to take one book at a time from his library. Being a Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright genius in character development, it wasn't surprising to find so many books by psychoanalysts: Adler, Freud, Carl Jung, and I was introduced to Edward Gorey via two of Tennessee's books, The Epileptic Bicycle and The Gashly Crumb Tinies, which was the Gorey alphabet book. A is for Amy, who fell down the stairs. B is for Basil, assaulted by bears. Perfect for my state of mind. Gorey, a close friend of Tennessee's, was today's Tim Burton. Born in Chicago, Gorey went to Francis Parker School here and then went on to Harvard. My brother lived minutes away from Tennessee's in a very tiny bungalow called a conch house on Love Lane. I asked Tennessee if he knew where it was, as I was going to bike there. He said, "Of course. Love Lane is at the crossroads of Despair and Disappointment Avenues." Ever the Southern gentleman, he always stood when I entered the room, always held my chair when I sat, and always opened every door for me. He always dressed elegantly for dinner with his ascot tie and jacket, and he had a wicked, wicked sense of humor. He had a lovable bulldog, Cornelius, who had a love affair with anyone's leg, hence the nickname Horny Corny. Cornelius was named after Tennessee's father, whom he intensely disliked and blamed for his sister Rose's lobotomy. Can you imagine? He always said his younger sister Rose was the brighter, more talented of the two of them, and he was devastated he was not there to save her from her fate. I wore a vintage cream white dress that Tennessee was fond of, and apparently he thought it needed a much more stylish shoe. When I was back in Chicago, he sent me a beautiful pair of expensive Italian buff suede heels from New York. My brother had mentioned that sending me shoes was very significant in that Tennessee's father worked for a large shoe company and still didn't provide proper shoes for the family. So, the gift of a shoe was a very meaningful gesture. The shoes were accompanied in one single package with a signed copy of Streetcar named Desire. People always tried to guess which character in Streetcar was most like Tennessee. One morning, Tennessee asked me over breakfast what I thought, Stanley or Blanche? Oh, Blanche! Blanche, I said, of course, Blanche. We had a great laugh, and I believe this is why I received the unlikely pairing of a signed copy of Streetcar along with the shoes. This is the copy. It says, "For Holly at Xmas, from Gary with his love and mine, Tennessee." Tennessee made two pointed comments to me. Even the tender, frail violet can break through solid rock. And le coeur d'un lion, which I found to mean you have the heart of a lion. I try to remember that when things are difficult. In the 81 season of the Goodman Theater, Gary directed Tennessee's final play, A House Not Meant to Stand. Tennessee died just a few years later in February of 1983 in New York City in his suite at the Hotel Elysee. And my brother died only a few years after that. A house. A house not meant to stand. Tennessee's last waltz.
Thank you, everybody. So how are we going to end this now? I know.
So join us on a Zoom.
Yes, the Zoom, let me explain.
We'll
the Zoom is...
resume.
Yeah, we will resume. The Zoom is, you can go to my website, it's corkymusic.com. That will have the instructions for the Zoom. Because I got to meet Tennessee a couple times. It was really, really cool.
So we'll see you Tuesday.
We'll see what happens next week. No, not next week. This is what? This is Friday? Yeah, Tuesday is next week.
Next week. We'll see you then.
So next Tuesday, we don't know what we're doing. We'll figure it out.
We'll see you.
But one thing for sure, we're inviting you into our home.
We'll see you.
See you in a few minutes on Zoom.
Zoom. Bye-bye.
Bye.